Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I would like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll begin with roll call. Bonnie Bentz.
Here.
Sherry Bowman.
Here.
Thank you. Mercedes Evans.
Here.
Michelle Forbes.
Here.
Jennifer Hoover.
Here.
Alyssa Packer. I'm here. Emily Smith.
Here.
And Leah Levy.
Here.
Okay. We have initial public comment. If you have any comments to share with council, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Sowell at 915 Country Club Road. I'm here with my wife, Lisa. And I wanted to just bring up the council's attention and get your assistance in solving a persistent problem, and that's speeding on Country Club Road. First, I'd like to start with the chief. Thank you and your officers for your increased presence, not only on Country Club Road, but in the surrounding neighborhood. It helps a lot. It also makes us just feel a lot safer, so thank you for that. We've definitely noticed that. There are 3 things that I would suggest as solutions, because I don't need to go into a lot of detail about the problem. I'm sure anybody that's driven down Country Club, or particularly those of us that live there, see the problem every day. But I think the 3 solutions are: 1, gathering data. I'd like to see the council approve a speed study with either pneumatic tubes or something long-term, not just 1 day or 2 days, but something for a week or 2 to see the kind of cycle. Second, I would like to see either the council or the police department here and East Pennsboro sign a memorandum of agreement authorizing joint enforcement along the border, because that's a consistent problem that we hear as well. We can't enforce on one side of Country Club, that's the township versus the borough, and I want to give the police the full authority and backing of its citizens to solve that problem. And that's a very easy solution. And then third, depending on the outcome of the data and the remedies that we see through joint enforcement, I'd recommend additional speed reduction actions, including increased enforcement or up to putting speed humps on the road. Because we've tried being nice, putting signs out in front of our yard that says, please slow down. We've tried everything we can think of. Nothing seems to work. So that's our issue.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you very much.
Hey, how are y'all? Reed Nixon, 2811 Fairview Road, here to talk about the continued lack of maintenance at Seaward Park. This is your guys' own pollution reduction plan that I have here. I take it honestly that none of you guys actually wrote this, because there's a lot in here that you guys aren't doing, and we'll get to the enforcement part here in just a minute. But it actually says in here for the Creek Road riparian buffer, it says perform limited mowing in accordance with the PAB EP guidance. This action should occur twice during growing season, once before weeds grow higher than 18 inches, and again just before seed production, typically in late summer. My question for you today, and what we need to get in writing, is when is that? Because unfortunately right now there's litigation against one of our fellow citizens and borough neighbors that is facing 3.5 years in jail. 3.5 years in jail. Because of cutting grass that he's been cutting for 40 years. And unfortunately, whatever's going on here, whoever's going to the stand, whoever's charging that, is because of this here. Now, we know that in you guys passing this, it's because I have brought up that it was never established legally in the first place until this. But with this, there is no from previous year close to ground at 2 inches. This routine outline will be continued for a period of approximately 5 to 10 years until the trees planted establish a canopy that is capable of shading out weeds and invasive species. You guys aren't reading this, you guys are subbing this out to other people. And the shame is that you guys are willing to actually put somebody in jail for 3.5 years for cutting grass. Who's answering to that? 3.5 years. It's a felony one is what you guys are doing. This is what you guys are doing. You guys are giving power to people that don't respect people and don't respect citizens. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, we will move on then. I do not have any comments, so we have the regular meeting agenda in front of us. The first item on the agenda is the approvals for the consent agenda, which includes the agenda itself, minutes from council and committee meetings, and the treasurer's reports. Does anybody have any questions, amendments, or anything? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. A second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started then with the manager's report.
Thank you. We had a pedestrian safety open house. We've really been trying to solicit public opinion. We're still looking for opportunities for people to share their thoughts, but we did have an open house here with our consultant to solicit input regarding the ongoing feasibility analysis on pedestrian facilities along the Camp Hill bypass. We had more than 50 residents who attended, and we received a wide range of feedback, ranging from overpass pedestrian facilities to, I think, helicopters, I'm not sure, to get people from one side of the bypass to another. But we're still looking for legitimate comments, not just mine. And that study is ongoing. I did attend last week the Cumberland County Planning Department's meeting of municipal officials. They're developing a new comprehensive plan, and they're trying to, I don't know how many of you have read the existing comprehensive plan, but they're proposing an updated plan with only 8 key planning principles, and they asked the municipal representatives in attendance to share their thoughts and their community priorities. It was a very interesting discussion with a variety of municipal perspectives shared. We have received the Streetscape Project Highway Occupancy Permit. So that means that the project can move forward. Of course, we are at the end of construction season, so it will not actually be underway from a construction perspective until 2024, which is about 2.5 years later than we had wanted to start it. But we're starting it, and we'll be bidding it by the end of the year. So we will continue to stay in touch with property owners who will be impacted by the project. We sent a direct mail letter to everyone in the project area, and we have a regular email address list that we send updates to for people who are particularly interested in the project. We did last week an emergency management tabletop exercise. We had a pretty high-powered group of administrative staff, police staff, emergency management volunteers, along with representatives from the fire department and the school district, and we participated in a hypothetical emergency event. It was an excellent opportunity for all of our community leaders to maintain constant readiness for emergency response. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, reports of committees and board liaisons. Will begin with public safety. Mercedes?
We'll start with the mayor's report.
Okay, thank you. The police department handled 833 calls in the month of August. Training, Detective Nate Sellers is attending a criminal investigation training this week. The chief and Lieutenant Hare are going to an internal affairs investigation training in Upper Allen Township. And Officer Ryan McClure, he's going to be attending field officer training where he'll learn to be able to be a field training officer. Fire department handled 31 calls, spent 83 hours on those calls. That's for the month of August. The ladder truck, we had a major repair done. It is going to get recertified to be put back in service next Friday. We had our annual testing of all our breathing apparatus and fire prevention. I've got a full schedule coming up the first 2 weeks of October, where we'll be going to the schools and talking to all the youngsters in town, which is always a fun time of the year. That's my report.
Thank you for that. And Charlie, thank you for your comment. I remember knocking on your door and you brought this up to me. And I'm the chair of public safety now, and we've been trying to do the speed traps and a few other things. So I'll bring up your suggestions at the next committee meeting, which is September 28th at 4:30 if you want to come. And Chief, how long do the traffic studies usually stay up, like the speed traps? Do we keep them for a week or?
A week or less, but it wouldn't hurt to update those. I mean, we've done that on.
Okay, thank you. Also, I wanted to provide an update on the efforts that the borough has been doing on, and the Public Safety Committee have been working on to improve pedestrian, bike, and vehicular safety. On July 26th, the borough hosted Stormfest, and we incorporated a bike safety component to the programming. On August 31st, residents were invited to the pedestrian safety open house, and we reviewed and provided an opportunity for feedback on sidewalk improvements for the bypass. Since the beginning of the school year, the school resource officer, Joe Capers, has made presentations to students at Eisenhower and Hoover regarding traffic, pedestrian, and bicycling safety, and he's also spoken at the parent-teacher conferences. The borough is currently running an art contest for school-aged kids. Students are encouraged to use their creative thinking and unique artwork to educate themselves and the community about pedestrian safety. The goal of the contest is to encourage students to practice safe behaviors while walking to and from school. And those entries are due September 22nd by 4 o'clock. In addition to the public education initiatives that I've mentioned, the sidewalk enforcement has also ramped up, and every aspect of the curb ramp project is also designated to enhance pedestrian safety in the borough. The streetscape project that will kick off next year heavily revolves around pedestrian safety, and it will include several traffic calming measures, new crosswalks that will be more visible, and a flashing beacon that will be installed on 23rd. The sidewalks and curbs will also be fixed. Our Public Works Director and Chief of Police are currently working on possible additional street markings to even further inform motorists to slow down by the schools. And the Chief of Police and Borough Manager brought the crossing guard shortage to the forefront and to the media to draw attention to it, and that resulted in a lot of applications and being fully staffed for this school year. Any questions?
I do want to note about the pedestrian safety art contest. We have gotten a commitment for cash prizes from the Lion Foundation. So if you know any young people, please encourage them to put their artistic skills to work. And there's entry forms at the door if you haven't gotten one. They're available on our website and also on the school district website.
Any other questions? Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Mercedes. All right, the next committee is Jennifer with Public Works.
Thank you. The Public Works Committee met recently on September 7th and will meet again on October 3rd. The meeting minutes and topics of discussion are documented in the meeting packet. Just a few things to highlight, one of which was included in the recent email that the borough communicated to interested residents, and that's regarding the compost facility. As a reminder, the compost facility will be closed next week for grinding. That communication also included some updates regarding sanitary sewer pipe work, the track and stadium project, Willow Park, and paving. And Mike will touch a little bit more on paving in regards to the payment application. Additionally, during the meeting, Mike had given us an update about the force main project, so there's still a transformer that needs to be obtained for that project. He may touch upon that a little bit more before that can go online and before metering can begin. We continue to make progress a little bit on the stream project, but an issue regarding an elevation at the Creek Road culvert there needs to be addressed. So the committee did discuss options, and Mike had recommended replacing the culvert, so that will be forthcoming. We also had some discussion about sanitary and storm sewer project prioritization and planning. So with the data that we are receiving from our road survey and our CCTV of all our infrastructure, we will have very good data on hand to be able to prioritize going forward. And Mike had recommended some options for us to pursue that would have minimal to no roadway surface interruption. Sarah talked about some additional things that we had discussed. An additional project would be the Eisenhower Walkway, so that will be breaking ground shortly, right? October. And also with regards to the streetscape Sarah had mentioned, we will be bidding that shortly, and hopefully we'll be able to make an award recommendation at our December council meeting. So other than that, in regards to the action items, we had discussed about also putting, now that we have our lovely new chairs here, and we have some old chair racks that are no longer usable, so Lester has recommended that we put those 2 meeting room chair storage racks on Municipid, advertising those, and we will consider an award for that in another month or 2. And then additionally, at our last and only capital improvement meeting, we had talked about a new street sweeper, given the outdated Italian, all things all above. It's an outdated machine vehicle that continues to pose problems for us in many ways. So we have been fortunate enough to have Lester find a street sweeper that is available for lease, for which payments will be deferred until January. So that is already something for which we were planning on budgeting. So those are my updates, and then I'll turn it over to Mike for his report.
Thank you. My report is pretty short and sweet this month. I only have 2 payment applications to go over. One point before I get into that, the culvert replacement that we talked about with the Seabird Park project, I think you might have said that it's Creek Road. It's actually the culvert that carries the trail over the creek in the middle of the stream section, not the road. So just don't want to have any confusion over that. The payment applications are both routine, and they're both within the original contracts, so pretty simple. The first one that we have is the Seabird Park Pump Station project. That's to HRI Incorporated in the amount of $220,963.86. We've reviewed that and found it to be in good order and request consideration of it tonight. The pump station contractor is nearing completion of what they can do at this point. There's a transformer, which is not the big trash can transformer that you see hanging from the top of the pole. It's a much smaller transformer that's used just to run the meter, so that PPL can bill us for the electricity. They're having a real hard time sourcing that, and that's prevented them from establishing any of the service connection. There's a manufacturing issue. One of the manufacturers of that unit has closed up shop. Nevertheless, the borough has paid for it over a year ago, and we'd like to have it. We're continuing to push on PPL. We understand that Sarah and Lester are also working with the Public Utilities Corporation and your local representatives to try and get that moved ahead. So that remains a little bit unresolved at this point, but that should be kind of the last piece of the puzzle. Everything else is wrapping up pretty nicely. Any questions on that one before I move on? The second payment application is for the paving project. The paving project this year went very well. The contractor is a pretty large outfit. The project was pretty small. They got done in a week, under a week. So hopefully it was a minimal disruption. We still have to do their final punch list inspections and get them closed out, but all indications are that they're going to finish ahead of the budget. And because they were so fast, I think HRG is going to finish ahead of the budget as well. So nice to have some good news on a construction project for once. But we do have a routine pay application for that one, which covers most of the work, or most of the contract value, in the amount of $81,775.66 to Pensy Supply. We've also reviewed that one and find it to be in good order and would request consideration tonight. That's all I have in my report.
Okay. The next committee is Community Business and Government Relations. Emily.
Thanks. So I just have some downtown coordinator updates. If you do not know, the Harvest Hop is coming up on September 30th downtown. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be shopping, dining, live music, beer gardens, yard games, pumpkin decorating, and more. There's a business mixer at Cardiovascular Experts of PA on October 4th. If you don't know where that is, it's like a block before the bypass on Market Street, like on the corner there. The farmers market is still going on Tuesdays until October 24th, and that's from 3 to 7 p.m. There's an average of 30 vendors a week, and there are special events all the time there, so don't miss it. There are some new businesses, which I think I mentioned most of them last time, but there's going to be a ribbon cutting for Elbin Insurance, which is at 1605 Market Street, and that's either going to be on September 18th or 19th. Details will be forthcoming. And lastly, if you haven't signed up for the email digest for the borough, I highly recommend it. I think it gets better every month. I think Julie's doing a great job with it. Thank you, Julie. So you can sign up for it on the website, and it comes out the week before our council meeting, like right before our council meeting. So it has the packet, and it has all of the projects. So all of the things we're talking about here are pretty much covered in this email digest. So it's like really, if you want to learn more about anything, you can go to the spot on the website without having to search for it. So highly recommend. Also, Community Business and Government Relations is not meeting tomorrow. So if you come, Sarah will have to entertain you some other way. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mercedes.
All right, we have some fun activities coming up. The Halloween parade is October 23rd at 6 p.m. Don't forget where you have to judge the costume contests at 5. Trick or Treat is October 31st from 6 to 8. And if there happens to be rain, then it's going to be the following Saturday from 6 to 8. Holiday tree lighting is December 7th at 6 p.m., and that's going to be in conjunction with the DCHA Holiday Evening Stroll event downtown. And the Parade of Lights for Toys for Tots is going to be December 8 and 9. And this year we'll be combining the Miracle on 24th Street craft market, holiday market, with the Parade of Lights. So it should be a really cool event. Any questions?
You should mention where the Parade of Lights is going to be this year.
Oh, and the Parade of Lights and the market will be at Willow Park. So we'll be closing off North 24th between Market and Logan.
All right, thank you. If there's no questions, don't see any, we will go to Planning and Zoning. Bonnie.
Okay. In your packet are the minutes from our Planning and Zoning meeting this past month, as well as our code officer's report, which reflects $697,108 in construction costs and a total of 242 calls this month. Our next Planning and Zoning meeting date will be this Friday, September 15th at 8:15 a.m. Discussion will continue with regard to rental inspections and fees. I would also like to read an email Bruce Bigelow had sent regarding a plastic bag ban that just went into effect in the city of Pittsburgh, where I think they might have had a year in preparation for the date at which the ban started. The ban is with regard to the use of plastic bags in retail establishments. That will take effect tomorrow. And he is asking that we might consider a similar ordinance for Camp Hill. And I included this in my report for the fact that we had run a plastic survey this past year. And it was a survey that touched on a multiple number of different types of plastics. However, I will note, and I know I mentioned this maybe at our April or May meeting, we had 182 responses to the survey, and of those responses, almost 59%, which was a total of 107, would be in support of a single-use plastic bag ban. And 23 of those responses were unsure. They didn't know enough about it. 52 were opposed. So a total of 130 out of 182 responses potentially might have been in support of a ban. And then when asked how a fee, if there was a fee that a retailer could charge when an individual came in without a bag, when asked how a bag fee would influence shopping behavior, a total of 137 essentially said it would be no effect. They either bring a reusable bag already, or they would just pay a fee. So our committee, the Planning and Zoning Committee, questioned if the total responses that we received on this survey was large enough to be reflective of the community. I'm going to keep this topic on our planning and zoning agenda. I think it's important. I just happened to look up statistics today, and the United States is the #1 producer of plastic with 42 million metric tons, and of that, only 8.7% is recycled. The 42 million tons per year breaks down to 287 pounds per person. So I think it's a good thing to look at if there's anything we can do, just even as the small community we are, to assist in becoming more sustainable, which is another topic I have for tonight. Let's see here. Before we get to sustainability, let me talk about the other topics. Tonight we will consider adoption of an ordinance to prohibiting parking on the westbound side of Chestnut Street from South 32nd Street to number 3018 Chestnut Street. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding that?
First, I did clarify and did have conversation with Mike before the meeting, so I would just like, for the benefit for everyone and those in attendance, and I am aware I did ask about this last time, but I think when I read the description, it was a little confusing because it said westbound of Chestnut, so that in and of itself kind of like threw me for a loop. So I went to the ordinance and I saw it referred to north and south.
Yes.
And then I saw the distances. And again, this was included when we considered advertisement of the ordinance. But I did want to confirm with Mike the impact of that no parking restriction for residents. So as I understand, the south side, or I should say the north side of Chestnut from 32nd to almost past the health facility up to the alley and through the front yard of 3108 would be no parking.
Correct. Yeah, we have a longer no parking zone on the north side of the road. When the applicant's traffic engineer submitted their calculations, it needs to be that long because the queue length is so long, potentially in the rush hour, peak hours, for vehicles that are stopped at 32nd Street. So that one does go back pretty far.
And then the north side.
On the north side, right, and would cover part or a good portion of that first house east of the medical center. The first house east of the medical center, though, does have a driveway on the western side and an alley that connects in kind of an L shape on the north side. And I don't think anecdotally folks have noticed vehicles parked on the street there. So that's probably the one property that's impacted most by the no parking zone, but maybe the one that it doesn't affect as much.
On the south side.
I thought you were going there next, so The south side, the no parking zone is shorter. We just need it long enough to clear the conflicting lefts, and we don't have as much issue with stacking there. So that goes across the entire frontage of the Chase Bank property and right about, or maybe a few feet past the property line on the first property. But that property would still have an opportunity to park 1 or 2 cars, in front of their home.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would note that the ordinance, that's my error on the agenda. The ordinance that you have in front of you does say north and south sides and was properly advertised as such. Sorry about that.
Okay, next, we will consider tonight a commitment to participate in what is called the Soul Smart program at our recent Planning and Zoning meeting, as well as at our first Sustainability Committee meeting this past month. The Soul Smart program was discussed. The committees agreed that a letter of commitment would benefit the borough, and I will let Sarah explain the program as she has actually spoken with the organization.
So now that we have formed or are forming our sustainability committee, there are many resources that are just coming at me from organizations that will support the implementation of our climate action plan. So I put in the packet a little bit of a summary of what this organization would do for us if we choose to adopt the letter of commitment. It's a free technical assistance program that was established in 2016 by the United States Department of Energy and several intergovernmental associations to help local governments expand solar energy use in our jurisdictions. There are about 500 member communities around the country, including many, I think there's 22 in Pennsylvania, including many communities in the Philadelphia area, the Center County Region Council of Governments, Indiana Borough, and Etna Borough in Allegheny County. We would be the first member in South Central Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of goals that they have that would be of assistance to us. Most importantly, the free, that's an important word, technical assistance that our participation would entitle us to help us educate the public about solar panels, how to get permits for them, whether there's financial assistance for them, just try to make the process of installing solar panels as smooth as possible for people. And this would help us to meet, in our climate action plan, we have solar panel installation as one of our Tier 1 residential and Tier 2 commercial climate action plan goals. We would also, in this technical assistance process, emphasize our interest in preserving a healthy tree canopy while also increasing solar panel usage and how we can balance those parallel objectives. So the very first step, and this gives you a recognition that you can be bronze, silver, or gold, which of course we're going to be the best. But I mean, it's a lot of these programs you're striving for some standard, and that's not what it's about. To me, it's nice to be recognized for the different qualifications that we can get, but it's nice to have those, in order to get this classification, here are your standards that you want to meet, and then we have something to strive for, and then we get recognized. But from my conversation with the gentleman initially, we're pretty much already at the bronze level without really doing much of anything. So we already have such a great permitting process program and encouragement and public education that we can pretty much step into the program. So my goal is silver. Gold is a little out there, and platinum is, so my goal is silver. And if you're willing to enroll in this, it is a recognized program, even though I'd never heard of it. No one else has probably ever heard of it, but you will now. So I hope you'll consider that tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay. Next, tonight, we will consider the adoption of a resolution creating a formalized sustainability committee. We have 3 members already on the sustainability committee, but we felt it was important to create a resolution that defines officially the purpose and goals of the committee, as well as the composition, what authority they have, and its relationship to the Borough Council. An important aspect of the resolution is also that it defines the qualifications of committee members and defines the length of terms. And I will note that the terms are 2 years. However, the resolution and attached qualifications indicate, I mean, unless opposed by council, that a member can re-up for indefinitely, 2 or more terms. So, but it's an every 2-year item. So, any questions on the resolution that was in the packet? All right.
Michelle has a question.
Oh,
Have one, and it's kind of, but just how with some of our committees, we have staggering memberships. Were you going to try and?
it is staggered, yes, so that you retain some sort of history.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
Exactly.
I also have a question. Would we consider, I noticed that it says under qualifications, they must be a resident of the borough. Would we consider a business owner in the borough, like a property owner in the borough as opposed to a resident?
You know what, that question did not come up.
I think, could we just change the wording right now?
I would prefer if we have a business owner who is a resident, but I don't know if there's any issues having a non-resident who's a business owner. I'd have to think about that.
I would think as long as they own property in the borough.
Okay.
What maybe vested interest, might be good language?
Well, I think that,
Property owner.
I think that's too general.
Property
'Cause
owner?
some people might think they have a vested interest because they pass through here every day. You know what I
Doesn't
mean?
mean they have to be approved, though.
Yeah, I think property owner would solve it, if that's okay to make that.
Would it be resident and property? Because you wouldn't want to
Yes,
exclude people
exactly.
that-
Residents and/or property owners, would that be
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, because you're saying you could live here, but not necessarily
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the house that you live in,
Mhm.
Right.
right? But
Would resident and/or property owner take care of that?
Are you all
No,
okay
but
with
they're
that?
But to her point though, she's saying a renter who resided in the borough.
Oh, a
did not
renter.
own-
right.
Right.
That's a
Oh.
resident.
It's a resident.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So that's why I'm saying the and/or,
Property
Yeah.
owner and/or resident.
yeah,
Right.
because you
Yeah.
could be both, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So that would be under,
That's actually not in the resolution itself, it's under the,
Under the attachment that
Attachment.
goes with it.
letter B, yeah, membership letter B.
each member of the committee must be a resident and/or property owner in the borough.
Right,
Business.
and/or, okay.
Business owner and/or resident.
Okay, now you're adding a
Because
third
they
group.
could, own a business, but be.
But lease.
Right.
That's a third group to me.
Do we want to say business owner?
How about just property owner?
It could be
No, 'cause
three,
it
there's
needs to
three
be
different
renters,
groups here.
too.
There's residents
Business
and/or
owner.
property owner and/or business owner, with the
Business.
business in the borough.
Business owner and/or resident.
No.
But they don't,
Yeah,
Because property owner, they don't have to have a business.
Right, they could own a property.
Yes.
They
might
just
not
have a
live
business
here.
in the borough,
That's
they might
fine.
not live here.
but do we want to require
Colton.
that they own the property the business is in?
No, because they're not requiring residents.
It's three groups.
Business is leasing a space.
Right.
Right.
They won't be owning the property, but they would be leasing a space and having a business.
And running a business in the.
Exactly.
But
But
they
it's
would
really
not have
three
the
groups.
control of, I mean, it would be the property owner that actually has the control.
Yeah, I
of-
don't know if you want to go that
No,
far.
No, I
Just
I
business
wouldn't.
owner.
Business owner and/or resident.
Property owner.
I think it has to be a
and/or-
property owner.
And the
or
property
resident.
owner could be a
Property
commercial,
slash
could be a
property
commercial.
slash business owner and/or resident?
That's
So by
confusing.
saying property owner, we are excluding any business owner and/or resident who does not own property in the borough.
Well, if you add resident, you're
Yeah,
not.
resident is in there. So
Residents in there, so a
It's
resident.
just a business, do you want someone who has a business but doesn't own the property?
Correct.
Then
That's
you
your-
just want to word them in as well.
Property slash business.
I don't know if you want that person on the
I agree.
sustainability
I
committee.
agree.
Not because they couldn't offer something helpful, but I mean, there's no other committee in the borough that we allow a non-resident, non-property owner of any type to serve on that committee. It's just not the nature of borough-designated committees.
So property owner and/or resident.
Right.
I think so.
Yes, I think that's fine.
Okay, sorry. Never want to wordsmith something out on the floor, but I did, I went there anyway.
So property owner and/or resident.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, I will add that to my motion. Okay. Okay, and then finally, we will consider a request for the release of financial security in the amount of $2,476.43 for the Frederickson Library patio project. In your packet is a letter from HRG indicating that they have recently performed a site inspection at the library's patio project and agree that based on their observations, the remaining financial security that has been held until the final project work was complete can, per their recommendation, be released back to the library. Any questions? Okay.
I don't have a question on that, but I do want to circle back to your statistical question about your plastic survey. So the only thing I can see from a statistical perspective that might be a problem with your data and we should explore is non-response bias. So the fact, I don't know how the survey was administered, but administering the survey different ways to capture and understand those people who haven't answered it to date, to see if that proportionality matches the proportionality in the survey results you already have, is a way of validating your survey. And I think at that point, from an applied statistician with a PhD from Penn State, I approve your statistics.
Okay, I will touch base with you.
Okay, thank you. The next committee is the Personnel Policy and Procedures. Michelle?
I would like us to consider adoption of a resolution to authorize the destruction of records in accordance with the standards of the Municipal Records Act. That's all I have for us. Any questions?
What records?
They're in the packet. They are,
Generally, not specific.
They're on the
they're
back of the resolution.
yeah, it's on, oh yeah, it is. They're like prior to 2019 code enforcement. Some proof of publications prior to 2012.
Proof of publications, advertising meetings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something else. Do you guys have them all?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. And who asked the question?
I did.
Did you answer, did it get answered yet?
Yes.
Okay, because now I have a question.
I know.
Okay.
ahead.
I was half listening. Before we delete these documents, and I know they seem to be remarkable documents necessarily, but do we keep a digital record?
All the code documents, we have digital records, they're scanned into our
Okay.
rather large, we have an online service that we pay
Okay.
to maintain our database. So there's a whole book of things that says how long you have to keep things prior to destruction, and Tammy's a cleaner, so. But
Okay.
yes, anything like the notices of violation that you see there, those, we have digital copies of those as well.
Okay, thank you. The Finance Committee, Sherry.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. So it's finance season, I think you guys know that. Our committee did meet on August 24th at 8 a.m. We talked a little bit about the budget workshop, our first budget workshop, how that went. We kind of surmised that it went well, or at least the ones for our committee. We thought it was well run. We did mention a couple of other topics that are hot, like the funding of the radios. One of the hot topics is the fact that we have this, we need to, this evening, to approve our minimum municipal obligations around our pensions. So tonight, one of the actions we're going to be taking is approving those estimates. For now, we are recommending to waive the contributions to the pensions that are required by employees for now. We don't really have enough data right now to make a good call on that, but we can revisit that item later. But this evening, the important thing is to get approval of these minimum municipal obligations. So besides working our way through those approvals, we will approve checks for the month this evening. I do also want to mention a few other related meetings coming up. We've got our next budget workshop on October 17th and October 25th, and both of those meetings start at 6 o'clock. And the public's welcome to come to those meetings where we'll be going and fine-tuning the budget for next year. Actually, we have a forward planning horizon on that as well. Our next Finance Committee meeting will be held on September 28th at 8 a.m.
Thank you, Sherry. And I will turn back to you with the Borough School District Liaison.
Okay, great. So we are nearing we've been tending, since I started taking on this position, meeting with the school board and school district leadership twice a year. Our next meeting is going to be on September 27th. The public's welcome to come to those meetings. It's really a chance for the borough leadership and the school district leadership to come together on certain items of interest. A couple of highlights for some things that we're anticipating being on the agenda would be jointly continuing to work on our efforts to improve the driving, walking, and biking safety in the borough. We always talk about the crossing guards because that's a joint responsibility between the two entities. We're going to talk about noise reduction at the pickleball court, and there could be a few other forthcoming coordination topics that we'll add to the agenda. But anyway, that meeting is going to be on September 27th in the evening, and you're welcome to come.
Sorry, is that down at the?
Good point, good point. Yeah, we don't meet here. We meet down where the school board meets, which is in the administrative arm of Hoover Elementary School. In the back, there's the administrative offices. So it's in their conference room.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the next item then is the Stormwater Authority Liaison. Bonnie.
Okay. The stormwater meeting was held yesterday morning, September 12th. The fourth quarter bills will be sent out on October 15th, and as of the end of the third quarter billing, there is $46,000 in outstandings. Evaluation of a possible 2024 budget was discussed by the authority. It was agreed that next year's budget would focus on small projects that could be covered by the operations and maintenance budget line, which is proposed at $100,000. And then in 2025, the next major project for the Stormwater Authority would be scheduled. Mike touched base and Jennifer touched base on the issue of the culvert at the Siebert Park stream. That was discussed. And then our engineer and public works director provided an update to the authority on a possible project for 2025 that was identified from the televising that has been done throughout the borough. Underneath Deanhurst are stormwater pipes, which are a major artery that funnels stormwater out of the borough. They found, as a result of the televising, that they are deteriorating in the bottom 1/3 of the pipes. However, the rest of the pipes are in good condition. So if we line just the bottom 1/3 of the pipes, we can extend the condition and the life of those pipes for another 20 to 25 years, which is significant. So the authority will have to make a decision as to when to address these pipes, as there is only really about a 3 to 5 year window in which the pipes would be in good enough condition to line. So the estimated cost, unfortunately, of that project is $1 to $1.5 million. So these are significant decisions that have to be made, and unfortunately, these projects are not something that are visible to the public, but they're critical to the infrastructure of the borough. So big decisions to be made coming. The new MS4 permitting requirements will go into effect in 2025, and we should know what those requirements will look like in 2024 so that the authority can begin planning. And that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, anything from the library board?
Just that we had a nice meeting with the Frederickson Library Director, Jessica Miller. I introduced her to Jennifer Hoffman, our new board member from our borough. And she'll attend the next meeting.
Thank you. And then Capital Region Council of Governments.
Also me. Okay, the meeting was on October 21st and August. What did I say?
October.
Oh, yeah. There were presentations by Lewis Strategic and Splashware and Merlin Communications. They also, okay, the auction was a success, but it was smaller this year. There were fewer large vehicles that were put into bid because the municipalities need to hold on to them because of the supply issues with parts and getting new equipment. So they're holding on to them longer. So they didn't have them off to bid. Salt bids are due on September 28th, which I think is going to be a busy day. And the last thing is that Cumberland County asked if everyone would go and fill out the survey on their website. They are updating their comprehensive and land partnership plan and are asking everyone to fill that out. York County is opening a 12-bed youth center. And for legislation updates, they asked if people would take a look at Senate Bill 749, 765, and 774 because it includes hiring corporations as managers. So they just wanted to let you know that that's going on and to get your ideas about it out there now before anything is passed. And they also stressed that, yes, the budget has been done, but the code bills have not been done. So if you want to keep on anybody, now is a good time for that as well. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, we have reached the period of the second public comment. This is specifically regarding the action items that we are about to vote on. There will be a third public comment that is completely open again at the end. So if anyone has any comments on the items we're about to vote on, please come up and state your name and address again and share your thoughts.
Hi there, Charlie Sell from 915 Country Club Road. I just wanted to point out, somewhat ironically, that as Bonnie talked about the sustainability initiatives, we talked about plastic bags and the potential impact on the environment. I'd encourage the Sustainability Committee to look at the data surrounding solar panel disposal, the costs and the looming problems that states and counties across the country are seeing. It costs about $10 to $45 to dispose of a single panel, whereas it costs, that's to recycle, it costs about $5 to dispose of it. So what do you think people are doing? They're just trashing them, and these things are filled with all kinds of bad, toxic chemicals and things like that. 75% are made in China, so you know the safety concerns of stuff like that. So I'm not trying to say don't go solar. I just encourage the committee to really look at the unintended consequences of that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we will move on and begin with the action in the Public Works Committee. Jennifer.
Thank you. I move that we approve application for payment number 4 in the amount of $220,963.86 to HRI Incorporated for the Siebert Park Pump Station Replacement Project.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve application for payment number 4 to HRI for the Siebert Park Pump Station Replacement Project. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, that motion carries.
I move that we approve application for payment number 1 in the amount of $81,775.66 to Pensy Supply Incorporated for the 2023 paving project.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve payment number 1 to Pensy Supply for the paving project, the 2023 paving project. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries.
I move that we authorize advertisement of 2 meeting room chair storage racks on Municipid.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to advertise the meeting room chair storage rack sale on Municipid. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries.
And lastly, I move that we authorize order of $269,400 for the Stuart Amos Street sweeper to be leased from Stevenson Equipment beginning in January 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second I'm sorry, I was just looking at something, for the Stuart Amos Street sweeper to be leased beginning in January 2024. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Okay. The next committee we have is planning and zoning.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-06, prohibiting parking on the westbound side of Chestnut Street from South 32nd Street to 3018 Chestnut Street.
And that's south side, right? South and north, not a westbound side. Okay.
Well, it's westbound
That's
of,
32nd.
yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2023-06, prohibiting parking on the westbound side of Chestnut Street from 32nd Street to 3018 Chestnut Street. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the commitment letter to participate in Soul Smart program, the Soul Smart program.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the commitment letter to participate in Soul Smart program. Any discussion? Okay, I would just like to say I appreciate your comments, and I think that that's certainly something that the Sustainability Committee will look at as kind of unintended consequences of all these decisions, and maybe take that into account with everything that the committee is looking at. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to adopt a resolution 2023-07, creating a sustainability committee with the modification to the definition for membership qualifications to state each member of the committee must be a property owner and/or resident of the borough.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-07, creating a sustainability committee with the amendments noted. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries.
And I would like to make a motion to approve the release of financial security in the amount of $2,476.43 for the Frederickson Library patio project.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the release of the financial security for Frederickson Library patio project. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Okay, personnel policy and procedures. Michelle.
Okay, I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-08, authorizing the destruction of records in accordance with the standards of the Municipal Records Act.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2023-08, authorizing the destruction of records. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries. And lastly, we have the Finance Committee. Sherry.
Yeah, hi. We're going to do first these minimum municipal obligations. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the following amounts for these pension plans. Let's start with the police pension plan. That's $164,757. The non-uniform pension plan for employees hired prior to 2020, should we do each one separately? You could. Okay, we can do each one. Okay, so let's start with the police then. That's the $164,757.
Okay, do we have a second? Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minimum municipal obligations for the police pension. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Okay, next up, for the non-uniform, we have two non-uniform pension plans for employees. This first one is for employees hired prior to 2016, otherwise known as the N1 plan. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve $13,945 for this non-uniform pension plan for employees hired prior to 2016.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minimum municipal obligation for Plan 2024 for our non-uniform pension plan employees hired prior to 2016. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries.
Okay, great. Last one. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minimum municipal obligation for 2024 for the non-uniform pension plan for employees hired after 2016, otherwise known as the N2 plan. This is for the amount of $72,595.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the MMO for 2024 for non-uniform pension plan for employees hired after 2016. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries.
Okay, terrific. Last but not least, I'd like to make a motion to approve our bills in the amount of $473,493.09.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the payment of our bills. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. All right, we have now reached our final period of public comment. This is an open period of public comment. If you have anything you'd like to share with council, please approach the podium and state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to public closing remarks by council. We'll begin at this end this week. Sherry?
Okay, great, thank you. I just have one comment. I just really wanted to acknowledge the great turnout we had at the pedestrian safety event on August 31st. I thought it was a wonderfully run event, so thank you. I think it was the Public Works Committee, you guys? I kind of detected that. I didn't know directly, but I'm like, oh, they're all in Public Works. You guys did such a wonderful job. I really liked the way you engaged the public, and I also wanted to thank the public for coming out. We had a pretty decent turnout, like about 50 or so people. More than 50 people came out and actually examined the bypass in a lot of detail, bit by bit. So there's a lot of great ideas that came out of that meeting, and I just want to send a huge thanks to everyone involved in that effort. Thank you.
And I'll just add to that, and to Sarah for bringing snacks and cookies. Bonnie?
No comment.
Just briefly wanted to respond to a public comment earlier regarding the buffer down along Creek Road. As has been communicated, that buffer, and like with the Willow Park buffer, it is cut twice a year to a height of 8 to 12 inches, typically once in the spring and again in late summer. For example, the Willow Park buffer was mowed on or about August 5th. So they do not cut, as was stated, between April 1st and August 1st. So spring, you could imagine we could go March 30th or somewhere thereabouts. And that timeline is to allow for plant growth and wildlife and the habitat to reproduce and grow. Thank you.
Emily?
I just have one comment because I have been going to Seabrook Park nearly every day in the last couple weeks because my daughter is playing tennis and marching in the band. And I just want to say a couple things. The new pump station building looks awesome. Like, it looks so cute. It doesn't look out of place.
I think that's what we had in the specifications, was that it looked cute.
I know.
So,
It's working out. And
you know what? That doesn't come up very often. sewage pumping station.
I know. No, it pertained to the original character.
Yes.
Of sewage pumping.
Of the stone and everything. I just think it looks great as I drive by it every day. And, yeah, the track looks great too. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Michelle.
I just want to thank anyone who emails, comments, comes to meetings, comes to committee meetings, because, we do this to make everybody happy, including you, even when it doesn't seem like it, right? So, thank you, and have a nice month.
Leah, your comment.
I have a quick comment. I was just reminded as we were talking about the street sweeper, some people are already putting leaves in the street, so please spread the word. It's not time to put leaves in the street yet. We'll let you know when it is, but it's not time yet. Please don't do that.
Related to that, I've noticed a lot of grass in the street, like people putting grass from their lawn in the street and for it to be swept. And grass is never swept. So just to clarify, like even when the street sweepers are moving around, it can only be leaves. It cannot be grass. So, all right. With that, is there a move to adjourn? Okay. Moved and a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.